Hello everybody and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, where today we're taking a look at a Supreme-Miscellaneous game that was sent on over to my Discord channel. My voice has been shot for the last couple of days, but I'm finally starting to feel a little bit better, so I think we're going to give this one more go, and hopefully, I mean, if you're seeing this, all has gone well, and this cast will be going up. It seemed like an interesting replay, no spoilers, but there was a note attached that apparently we're going to be seeing some very cheeky shenanigans going on. So, without further ado, our blue team leader, spawning as an Armada commander in the backline, in the air position of Supreme-Miscellaneous, a commander that goes by the name of Flowers. Wasn't that a lovely name? Just a beautiful sounding name. I love a good flower here and there. Probably, let me think. I'm partial to a rose. It might be a little bit, cliche or whatever, but I like a good rose now and again. Flowers, gonna be the 19 open skill American hero leading the blue team, and if 19 open skill is the top, then you have to know that this is going to be a little bit of a learner's match. So we're gonna be taking it easy, having a laugh at some of the shenanigans going on between some of these newer players here, and right off the bat, going for an energy storage. All right, we're a little bit low on energy production because the wind turbines are not being powered by much wind speed right now. But eventually, this energy buffer will be quite useful. Spawning on the other side of the map, spawning on the C lane position here, Voltura. Voltura, is that from? Is that from that one movie? Gosh, I'm gonna embarrass myself here. Is that from that one movie with like the robots? It's a house and it's in space. There's a board game. Oh gosh, what is it called? Oh man, I can't believe I'm blanking on this right now. Somebody in the comment section is going to know what I'm talking about. It's like the adventures of... It sounds similar, but I don't think it's that. Anyway, Voltura here. The red commander going to be spawning with 20 open skill and in the C lane, going for a couple of those res bots to boost the early game economy. Get this all nice, ripe, ready to go. I don't mind it. There's a lot of cheeky strategies you can go for on this C lane. I'm curious to see what the red commander is going to opt to go for. It looks like we've boosted a transport. I see. So we've gone ahead and paid some wind turbines to help the tank commander get a transport out a little bit early now. Unaware maybe that you need a different type of transporter. Maybe they were, maybe they talked about it in chat. Trans Scout 2 wind. Yeah, okay. Might be a miscommunication already because Hephaestus is what you need to move a commander around. This light transport is only going to be good enough to take constructors. Not that it's the end of the world, of course. You could always just drop a constructor on the island or up on this high ground, whatever it needs to be. But it is important to know. Yeah, it looks like we're going to go ahead and drop the constructor. Okay, so not the end of the world right here. I've always been wondering, maybe we should make the heavy transport super quick. And then only with the commander it moves super slowly, but I don't know. Still working out how that interacts with everything, right? How the transport works. Looks like Voltura is going to be moving into a C lane here, though, going ahead and building a naval lab. We're going to get some bots up to build the metal extractors and hopefully the geothermal as well. And eventually we're going to be making our way into a nice, sizable T1 economy. Now, already out on the map right now, we do have the powder blue commander, Linus Lionheart, going to go ahead and contest the sea, also as an Armada commander, so we have a arm versus arm comm battle here, or arm versus arm navy battle here in the high seas, so that's always cool to see. Feel like we never get to see that in some of the higher level lobbies, so might be... Oh my goodness, what did I miss over here? Let's see if we can figure out what this was with the wreckage. Looks like grunt wreckage. Yeah, that's going to be Warp, taking out the entire green base of D1R Leb... Diral Banger. I don't know. The Green Commander. The Green Commander. Completely eviscerated at this point as the entire base is obliterated right now. Looks like we might have even degunned the lab because I don't see a wreckage of a lab. At the very least, maybe it was reclaimed or something. This is a really rough situation right now for the Green Commander, who's going to have to get some mexes up and running. Instead, went ahead and built the laboratory before getting the mexes. Means they're extremely low on metal at the time being. Well, 20 seconds or so, this lab should be up and running, but we could go ahead and end the game right now. Yeah, it looks like we're going to send some more grunts across the map, and I think that's exactly what we need to see. The Green Commander with only enough energy for 2 D-guns, so he has to make them count. Ooh, 1 swing and 1 miss. Another swing and another miss, and just like that, those pink grunts do manage to make it right on past into the backline. Now, as long as these don't APM stall, they should be able to do a whole bunch of work. LLTs to guard the base here for Deathlaugh, the Cyan Commander, but there's no reason these grunts couldn't move forward and just continue doing damage to other players around here. Wind turbine pops, which also shuts down the energy production here for the Green Commander, who desperately needs to get these metal extractors up and running. My goodness. Getting the mechs up and running is what's going to stimulate this economy back into life here, but for the time being, the Green Commander knocked out of the game. Lavender in a whole bunch of trouble here as well. Some shenanigans going on in the blue backline as well, apparently. Grunts rushing forward and claiming or killing as many mechs as they possibly can. Nice. Mechs goes down. Shiv and Draco in position to intercept all that, so we'll rebuild the mechs in a timely manner. But at the very least, those grunts managed to snag a kill on a whole bunch of these. Alright. We are moving towards a fairly standard game, I want to say. Relatively standard. One way or another, these navies are going to have to clash. And it's a frigate and a destroyer versus 3 of these good old-fashioned dolphin. Now it's 2 destroyers, though, and that makes this a whole lot worse. Yeah, it's going to be pretty difficult for those dolphin to engage at this point. The static defense in a lot of trouble right here, but those destroyer firing from range are going to be quite nice for blasting them down. And just like that, managed to shoo off those dolphin. Okay. Powder Blue is going to be forced to go into something a little bit better here. We're going to have to step up our game. We're going to have to go into a couple of frigates. We've got more dolphins over on this side as well. Looks like the commander is going to be making its way up this hill. We've got a beamer turret just about finishing up here, and I think in 10 seconds or so it will be completed right as the commander is walking its way up the line. Meanwhile, 1,000 gunboats on the other side of the map here attacking Slasher Hajj. Now there's loads of submarines under the waves, and those are doing a great job of killing these gunboats, but obviously the one benefit that gunboats afford you is that they're mobile, and if they're moving around, submarines are going to have a really hard time hitting them. Not a problem right now, though, as those gunboats are completely still, meaning that they're going to be thrown away. Okay. Flood Haston. In dire need of some more units. In dire need of something that can hit a submarine. Middle of the map is well contested right here, and whenever I'm in a situation like this where I've got full control over the middle of the map on Supremacimus, typically what I like to do is just go ahead and greed super hard, build a bunch of solar panels, some advanced solar panels, start E-converting, making sure that I can basically turn this 4.5 metal extractors, or 4.3 metal extractors, into a huge advantage over time. Right now, the Navy's starting to look pretty good right here for the Powder Blue Commander, though. Yeah, we've got loads of Dolphins and a couple of frigates, and that's what we like to see. A couple of destroyers out right now for the Red Commander is going into double batteries. Okay. Interesting. So are eco-trolling. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Triple metal extractor, quad energy storage. All right, so lesson time. The reason why you don't go for this many metal storages and energy storages is because, as you can see, they have spent more metal in metal storages than actually they've generated this entire game. So despite having 10,000 storage for metal and nearly 20, call it 30, what is it going to be? 25k energy storage here. There's barely enough production to fund any of that. So Harold123 definitely needs to check out a build order video, make sure that they are kind of aware of the situation as to why this is not ideal. 1 or 2 of these, not the worst idea. One metal storage and 2 energy storage is not the end of the world, but this much storage this early into the game is really, really inefficient. That's 1,000 metal down the drain in metal storages that could have been a T2 lab and T2 constructors for the team a long, long time ago. 6 minutes is kind of the default as far as timings go. The Orange Commander appears to be AFK as well. A lot of storages this game. Weird. Okay. Maybe some new players joining from Total Annihilation. As I understand it, 0K as well. As I understand it in those games, the storages are really, really important. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's the reason why is these commanders are maybe joining from a different game where that's a little bit more important. I've been told that's the case before. Nice Deegan right there. No reaction from the pink commander. Just going ahead and committing to the fight right now. I think if we step forward and spread out a little bit, we can kill the commander. 16% HP, at the very least killing the LLT is quite nice, shuts down any of that aggression. Metal Extractor falls here as well as Dire Lebinger. Dire Lebinger? Der Lebinger? Is it a German name or something? No, it's not German. I don't know. Somebody's gonna have to write out the pronunciation for me. Losing the base here, one more time. Oh no, oh don't tell me. 4% HP on this commander. 1% HP. Boom goes the commander in base again. Oh no. Loses the entire base one more time as the commander dives back into combat. Leaves the game after dying for the 2nd time in a row right here. Well, a lesson well learned. Sometimes it's the only way to learn how to play Beyond All Reason is to blow up your commander in your own base and watch as you have to rebuild it all from scratch. Fogmine now going to be in charge of contesting this entire front line, as the Cyan commander is also put on the spot here with the T2 lab nowhere near finished up. We're about 75% of the way through. We need to stack the comm to finish that lab so we can put units on the field before the green commander's dead front line comes back to bite us very, very soon. Sheldon coming out of the lab right here for Shiv and Draco, the green commander. It looks like we have a decent navy built up right here. I think this blue navy probably could have gone ahead and won. Very difficult to judge that, though, especially when you're playing in-game. I mean, even as a spectator, it's hard to judge sometimes. When you're playing in-game, obviously with limited information, that can be a really difficult thing to measure out. What a funny match. I hope you guys enjoy these learners matches as much as I do. I know a lot of people kind of have a love-hate relationship with Supremismus, right? You see it every single game, but because of that, it also means you get to see what you... Oh, Harold. I hope you watch this, Harold. I hope genuinely you get a chance to look back at this and realize why this is so brutally inefficient. Metal storages do not produce metal or anything. Maybe that's the other belief here, is that we're somehow increasing the economy by producing these. Yeah, take it from me, Harold. These are definitely not a useful, expensive metal. At this point, you're going to want to focus on these T2 metal extractors. These produce 4 times the metal as the T1s. Once you get these up and running, you can start scaling your economy, not necessarily scaling your energy and metal storage. We're up to 14,000 metal storage, and I don't think we've even had 14,000 metal this entire game. Oh, naval battle over here. Almost missed it as the destroyers march forward. A little bit overzealous engaging right here, and I think the blue commander realizes it, jumps on top of this navy, realizing, hey, I can actually fight these destroyers as long as I'm getting on top of them in time, and just like that, the blue frigates managed to outpace the destroyers here. With the support from those dolphins triggering a flanking bonus as well, it means that suddenly the red navy is left in shambles. Res subs to clean all this up would cement the victory right here. Considering how low OS this game is, I'm not surprised not to see res subs, but in case, for instance, the blue commander Linus Leinhardt was looking to step their game up 1 extra tier, building 1 or 2 of those res subs instead of a couple of dolphins is one way to make sure that you win that navy game. Already this composition has blown apart the red forces, but to make sure that they don't manage to rebuild, you're going to want to go ahead and eat up all that metal and turn it into units or T2 yourself. Brown T1 pushing forward. Sheldon are going to eat those up for breakfast. As you can see, marching backwards and firing away from out of range means, of course, that even though the Sheldon don't hit their shots very often, they'll hit their shots frequently enough that all of these units go down. Thugs, aggravators, pawns, grunts, ticks, you name it, the Sheldon is more than happy to disassemble it. Sheldon's relatively expensive, but they're very, very easy to play with. 6,000 metal worth of Sheldon right here on the front line, and sometimes that really is all it takes. Eco expansions in the back, no geothermal here. That's another huge inefficiency for the orange commander. If this geothermal was up and running, they'd probably have about, I want to say, 2,000 extra metal in their bank at this point, just from E-conversion alone. That's how just insanely efficient these geothermals are. They produce 300 energy per second, and of course, converting at a rate of 70 to 1 energy to metal per second, you can convert all that energy and have a relatively healthy economy, just like the green commander you can see already up on T2 and well into a full-fledged T2 army. A couple of radar bots and jammer bots are another easy way to improve this composition. If you're getting into T2 and you're looking at how to make your T2 units a little more effective, slapping a sumo or a couple of fiends in front of these to absorb any assault bots that they might make, any grunts or pawns, things like that, and then going ahead and including a radar and a radar jammer can oftentimes help you distribute the load that these Sheldon have to bear. Sheldon really not a wrong choice in any situation, though. When you build enough of them, they really can just start to do work regardless of how they're being utilized. There's really just nothing they can't face off against. As long as you accompany them with enough vision and enough radar, you're going to be perfectly fine just building mass Sheldon. Loads of static defense over here as well, making not a minefield, but a practical minefield right here. The hot pink commander setting up torpedo launchers all over the place. Mass submarine, actually, I mean, okay, this is a weird interaction, but basically the hot pink commander has hard countered the seafoam green commander with the the torpedo launchers. A lot of I guess I would say a lot of what we would call lack of action from a lot of these commanders. There we go. Yeah, the Seafoam Blue commander does get the res subs out, which I will mark as a good point, but already the red commander had a few. And with that production bonus from being so close together. Oh, a couple of commandos in planes. Hold on. Almost missed these. A couple of commandos produced by the yellow commander. Sending them across the map right now. Trying to... I mean, where are we going to deploy these things? These things are so funny, these commandos. When they drop in the water, they can't normally go into water, I don't believe, but when they drop into the water, they can march their way out of it. And when their plane gets shot down, they don't die. They don't die like normally units would. Instead, they just fall to the ground and can continue marching. They're one of, if not the only units that can actually do that. It's pretty hilarious to see. Oh, I want to know what we're doing with these paratroopers. They're the only unit in the game, I believe, that has the paratrooper designation that allows them to fall out of planes without dying. Do we see these moving forward? No, we do not. No radar over here for the blue commander is another blunder. Means that these paratroopers are going to go ahead and make their way through. Even if there was radar, it's not like they'd be detected. You need line of sight in order to detect them because they have a built-in radar jammer field. There we go. Transports are spotted. You know what? Actually, it looks like the jammer field doesn't extend to those planes, so they are going to be spied right here. Yep, purple commander finally sees them. Paratroopers now dropping down to the ground. Fighters only increasing the speed at which they can deploy. Oh, okay, they're going to blast down the fusion reactor here. Usually what you want to do is hit the C key in order to pull out their landmines. They can actually build landmines. What you want to do is go ahead and build a bunch of landmines around these. So you would basically queue up a bunch of landmines, and then they would go ahead and build them. This is a little bit of Miss Micro for these commandos here. Not the end of the world, but that Pitbull definitely saved this from being a much worse situation. Yeah, this could have been a lot worse if this Pitbull hadn't come up in time. At the very least, there's more build power to repair all this, so this is not the end of the world. Unfortunate to lose all those E-converters, but the fusion reactors remained intact. For future note, if you drop the paratroopers and you pull out their landmines, you can build them next to buildings and detonate them to do absurd damage. It's like a little C4 pack. Really, really good. Please make radar, cries out the blue commander, assessing the situation and why those weren't spotted earlier correctly. T2 is now out on the field here, so the powder blue commander has got to feel comfortable pushing forward right now. We've got T2 for the red commander as well, and it looks like we're going to start pumping out some of those paladin. The T1 cruiser, depth charge launching, laser fighting, plasma throwing, do-it-all boats, and the front line has been well stagnated here. Yeah, we've got thousands and thousands of metal of aggravators, nearly 4,000 metal worth of aggravators. We've got a persecutor here as well, wonderful for holding the front line. Persecutors are, yeah, we've got 2 of them somewhere. Oh, there it is, coming up right there, right next to the other one. 2,500 metal apiece is but ends up being a much more efficient unit because they can outrange a lot of these other things like Sheldon and sharpshooters and stuff like that. We're starting to slip into a little bit of stagnation, though. Yeah, the red team apparently unsure of how to step forward in this match, and the blue team unsure of if they can step forward in this match. I'll go ahead and speed up this game, though, because it does look like we're headed towards a little bit of a timing attack here. We're trying to build up forces. The red team trying to build up forces. The blue team ready to engage, but not quite sure whether they can, it feels like. Torpedo bombers dropping their payload, trying to attack whatever they can over here, having a rough time connecting with some of these units. Fighters jumping on top of them are going to be more than sufficient to shoot down those T2 fighter planes, or T2 bomber planes. These are actually T1 fighters, so I was wondering why it was taking them so long. There we go, finally shooting down those torpedo bombers. That was just a couple of res subs, so not really the end of the world. The connection against the Paladin is quite a bit nicer, but of course, not the end of the world to take a little bit of damage on one of your cruiser. That's effectively what they're there for. Do we have a game plan here? We have a lot of sharpshooter from Death Laugh. I wonder if... oh, okay, we're going to start up a T3 lab. No build power back here is a little bit choice. Build power is quite good. These construction turrets that you can build in the buildings menu. The construction turret here, 300 build power... I believe it's 300 build power piece. 200 build power piece, pardon me. Quite good. Yeah, quite good. This T1, T2 composition from the Powder Blue Commander, not going to fare very well against this Dreadnought battleship. As long as this battleship is firing front-facing, it's going to be doing huge work. As soon as it's forced to retreat, it does start to lose a lot of its firepower, unfortunately. The mass submarine. So these waited too long is the issue here. This Navy has been given a chance to build up, and now the depth charge launching destroyers are chasing down the submarines whenever and wherever they can. Submarines have this weird thing where once you build enough of them, once you snowball them, they can actually do really, really nasty things on the ocean. The problem is getting to that snowball is so expensive. Each one of these costing 580 metal apiece. Yeah, that's more than basically any other T1 unit I can think of. They are ridiculously expensive. I mean, as far as compared to any other land-based units. Obviously, some of the naval units, the destroyers in particular, are quite expensive as well. But there you go. Here's the reason why we don't see mass submarine all too often is because they're just too easy to destroy by just a bunch of destroyers. And destroyers, of course, are also multi-pronged, multifaceted units in the sense that they can just build quite a few different types of, or they can attack quite a few different types of units here. A couple of arbiters and a whole ball of Sheldon are going to be marching forward at this point. We've got the red forces engaging in a nasty little battle right here, but the lightning boats on both sides, the maelstroms, blasting each other apart right here, and what a abysmal fight for the blue commander. Just like that, the red commander wins the high seas and is going to be marching forward to try and take out the remaining forces of the blue commander. Depth charge is going to be launched against these Barracuda assault submarines. The Barracuda are quite good, but obviously there's only one of them, and there's several cruiser and destroyer right here. Those Barracuda are not going to stand much of a chance, and this base should be all but forfeit. Red commander needs to push forward right now. We need to take out the production. That's really what we should be aiming for. With these cruisers and destroyers very low, every one of these submarines can be a little bit dangerous here. Yeah, one by one, these cruisers are falling apart, but I think there's going to be enough of them to sustain against the last of these submarines before the lab manages to be taken down. Not bad. Sheldon ball off the coast firing away right there. What a beautiful little waterfall of projectiles firing out into the ocean, taking down a whole bunch of those red boats. Not ideal to leave those boats lying around, but I love that we've included this anti-nuke boat. In case you're wondering why we've included this, it's actually for its line of sight. You can see this thing has a tremendous line of sight and also radar out quite a long distance here. Yeah, a really long distance actually. Means that it's really useful for including next to, for instance, battleships, destroyers, all that sort of stuff, just so that those boats can actually make effective use of their long range compared to their relative short-sightedness. So many units on the front line, so little of them any use. Just loads of T1 trash kind of mucking up the midsection here. At this point, this is where you start issuing those general reclaim orders. You build 10 resbots and you just start issuing them to reclaim all your T1 units. The amount of metal in T1 units at this point in the game is just going to be worthless. And aside from spam, of course, that's the exception. But generally speaking, not going to be worth it to try and make your T1 units find value. They're just going to be wasted essentially on the front line. It's almost 100% of the time better to just use those T1 bots as metal for T2 production. Res subs eating up all these boats right here are going to be wonderful. We do have a capital ship coming up right now in the red production bay, and we're going to be expanding the build power in order to pump it out a little bit quicker. Nicely done by the red commander having the foresight to start this up before the engagement so that we can have it mostly built and then finish it off with the metal from the enemy's base. Always lovely to see. And then, of course, the metal storage allowing them to do that. The Maroon Commander eventually building enough wind turbines to fund, well, a small country, probably. Yeah, nearly 3,000 energy worth of energy production, and we've got nowhere near enough E-converters to... Well, actually, maybe we have enough E-converters to handle it. Yeah, it's pretty close, actually. Oh, these T2s right here. I didn't even see the T2 E-converters. Yeah, okay. So, the thing is, the red economy is not looking terrible. We've just finished up our second fusion reactor with just T2 cons. It's just a weird way of getting there, but it's a way of getting there nonetheless. And that kind of creativity... I'd be remiss if I didn't appreciate it, yeah. T3, some nukes, some good old stuff on the front line here. Buzzwell Man, the brown commander, uncloaked and marching with confidence. The K button is how you cloak, in case anybody's curious, and that's how you keep your commander from dying to a single Razorback on the front line. Otherwise, I like the idea, though, going for the Deacon right there, and I did hear it queued, just didn't manage to pull it off. Luckily, though, the Sheldon are still great at taking down those Razorbacks as long as you can manage to keep them out of range of the firepower from those brutal laser spitting war machines. Anti-air included in the mix right here. Only one, though, so it's not like it's the end of the world pushing into this, and indeed, those torpedo bombers are going to be more than happy to deploy their payload against a single anti-air boat and then take out all the rest of this here. Nicely done. Torpedoes connecting in a big way, managing to blast down the battleship, just barely not killing it. There we go. Battleship does fall. Fighter clash now, as the fighter planes engage each other in the air. Always so hard to gauge these interactions, but it looks like eventually the blue fighters will come out on top. Mammoth has managed to hold the front line for the time being, though, in the capital ship. is now ready to make its way across the map. Mass anti-air being produced to support this capital ship as well. The only other thing you might throw into this composition is just a load of res subs, just to potentially help out and make sure that that capital ship gets nicely repaired. Flat connecting in a big way against a whole bunch of these planes. Every time they double back to try and drop a payload, as long as these anti-air boats connect, they're gonna do pretty nicely. Scout plane goes down, and that does hurt quite a bit. That scout plane provides a lot of the vision that's necessary to keep this running. This capital ship could definitely win the game here, though. Oh, more commandos moving in. Okay. We've all seen a capital ship take down a base on this map. Since when have we seen commandos being deployed tactically around the map right here? This is so cool to see. There they go. Oh, that one flying away here. Taking a strange bounce, but making it into the backline nonetheless. Now again, these are all radar jammed. You can see the little jammer field around them, so the only way you actually see them is when they come within line of sight here. There they are. So the way that you micro this is you take this and you queue up a bunch of these landmines right next to this fusion reactor. Its little blaster beam thing is not bad. You can see it does a decent amount of damage, but the way that you maximize your effect from these is just by building those landmines. And they have a huge build radius as well, so you can build the landmines from all the way over here. Makes them really, really brutally effective. Especially like this, if you can get multiple of them in at the same time, you can build those landmines super quickly. I would definitely recommend it. E-converter's built right around the APHIS. Oh, no splits here. Oh, no splits. Boom goes the APHIS in the purple base. Nicely done with just a couple of those commandos managing to find immense value in the backline here as they take apart the entire backline base. What a hilarious strategy, but it worked, and that's all that really matters. The yellow commander must be pleased with themselves, cackling into the mic as they've managed to take out the entire backline twice now, using nothing but a couple of those commando paratrooper bots. Hilarious. Capital ship now continuing to shell away over here, just firing idly at kind of whatever it can on the coastline, sitting far enough back here, but not... It needs to turn around. See, this back cannon is just kind of spazzing out. It doesn't really know what to do. If you flip this boat 180 degrees, it'll actually fire with both of its cannons. Right now, you're effectively wasting half of that 17,000 metal unit. Be very careful about that kind of thing. Little micro things like that in this game can have surprisingly big effects. There's not a lot of units that benefit immensely from micro, but there are some units that need to be microed specifically, otherwise they can be quite dangerous, yeah. One of the other ones that comes to mind are the Incinerator, the Legion's Incinerator units. They fire a big heat ray beam, but because of the way that they work, you have to be very careful. If you put units in front of them, they can't really distinguish between friend or foe, and once they rev up that heat ray beam, you know, those heat induction coils, once they're cranked up to speed, you have to cool them off by firing the beam. You can't just turn it off manually. So you gotta be really careful about that. You put units in front, and you can't really shut down the beam. I've obliterated more armies than I care to admit by walking in front of my own incinerator beams. Destroyers here showing just how viable they are against T2. You can see every volley here decimating those despot battleships, more than that, really. Brutal stuff. Anti-air, fairly thin. We have T1 anti-air, which is not going to be sufficient to shoot down these T2 planes. They just have too much HP for that sort of a thing. T2 fighters here are going to do much, much better, though. Saving the hot pink navy, who should be moving across the map now to try and win the game. LRPC firing over here. We have a Basilisk firing at the base right now of Slasher Hodge. Not bad whatsoever. The blue team on their last legs. Death Laugh with a couple of Vanguard on the front line, but the purple commander calls a resign vote after realizing that all that remains is a single base over here and not really anything left in the backline. The red team with a 342% eco advantage, as the backline has been scaled to some degree. We've got APHISs and fusion reactors and all that sort of stuff, churning out metal, churning out units, churning out stuff on the front to fight with. Vanguard beset upon by a Razorback and the Persecutor cannons as well, and just like that, the red team manages to cobble together a win in this match of Beyond All Reason. Some unique strategies, and I'm always thrilled to see the Commando bots, because what a unique unit they end up being. A little bit more micro on those Commando bots, and I think they could be even more devastating. A very surefire way of shooting yourself right on up the open skill ladder. Thanks a ton for watching, and I sure hope you enjoyed. Hope you gleaned some information, and maybe if you're any one of the newbies here playing in these matches, hopefully you've realized some of your follies, and you're going to be taking them into the next match, kicking ass, and doing wonderfully. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.